Live from the studios of iHeartRadio and WOR 710 AM in beautiful downtown Tribeca, it's the Tom Maoli Go Big or Go Home show. We will go live inside the mind of Tom Maoli, and he will explain how you can start a business, grow your business, fund your idea, or the next multi-million-dollar invention, or how to buy the piece of real estate you've always wanted. Now's your chance to hear it live right from the entrepreneur's entrepreneur. And now, here's Tom Maoli.
And we're back, everyone. Good morning and happy Father's Day. And, you know, I say it week after week. We're sitting here in the Len Berman Studios, New York Mets studio. We got 250 million listeners. And, you know, week after week, the show keeps getting better. And, you know, the purpose of the show is to teach people how to get out from behind the cubicle, get out there, follow your dream. How do you do it? How do you get it done? How do you get your business financed? How do you execute on your ideas? People have ideas, you know, day after day, Jim. And I got Jim Totten here.
Good morning, Tom, and happy Father's Day, may I say, sir.
Thank you. And day after day, people sit in their cubicles and they come up with ideas and they ride around in their cars and they have ideas. They don't know how to execute them. They don't know how to finance them. They don't know how to get them done. You know, they die on a vine, and, you know, there's a lot of frustrated people out there and employees. Right. And, you know, the purpose of the Go Big or Go Home show is to teach them how to do it. Right. How do you get out there and do it? And how you know, our guests week after week, just amazing. How do they do it? How have they succeeded? And, you know, when people see and talk to people that have succeeded, it makes it gives them motivation, and that's the purpose of the show. And, you know, we're here today, and we have an interesting guest. We have Steve Zuller from the Franklin Group in Brooklyn, homegrown New York entrepreneur, and we're going to talk to him about how he started his company, how he got to where he was at. He's the king of the bobblehead. Everyone, listen, everyone has in fact, you know, it's very apropos because we're talking about people that are sitting in cubicles, right? Right. And I use that example because not everyone's in a cubicle, all of our listeners. Right. Not every one of our 250 million listeners are in cubicles.
Quarter of a billion.
Yeah, exactly. But the, you know, when you see, you know, I go into these corporations for meetings, and you walk around and you go up and down the aisles as you're heading to somebody's office or a conference room, and what do you see? Bobbleheads everywhere. Bobbleheads everywhere. It's absolutely crazy. It's amazing, right?
It's unbelievable. The Yankees, I know this week, I'm a big sports guy. Yep. The Yankees had one for Ron Guidry. Yep. Right on a Thursday night, Tom, sold out Yankee Stadium because of the bobblehead.
It's amazing. No, it's amazing. It's unbelievable. And, you know, I want to remind everyone the phone lines are open if they want to call in and they want to ask our guest or myself, you know, business questions, advice. You know, the phone lines are open. It's 1-800-321-0710. And I also want to remind everyone out there about the Maoli Minute. You know, it's growing on a daily basis.
Incredible reaction.
Yeah, incredible reaction. You know, it's on a daily morning drive on iHeartRadio 7. You know, on
WOR 710.
WOR 710, exactly. A morning drive, evening drive, daily business tips. It gets you through the week, you know, to get to the show, so you can get on the line and and get questions answered.
Fascinating topics, Tom. You've picked some great subjects in the last few weeks,
exactly,
really.
Yeah, and it's getting better. It's unbelievable. You know, it's it's pretty interesting because I was on the phone with someone the other day, and it was a realtor, and I was doing a real estate deal, and, you know, as I'm listening, as I'm having a conversation, he's listening to the Maoli Minute riding in his car. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. Yeah.
Well, Tom, we actually know from the studio here that they are on the Mets pregame show as well.
That's right.
And one of the producers here at the show this morning says, I was listening to the game and I hear the Maoli Minute. I hear the bell.
Yes,
I hear
exactly.
the ringing of the bell and the Maoli Minute comes on.
Yeah, the bell is becoming iconic. The show's becoming iconic. It's absolutely amazing. But we're going to bring on our guest. It's Steve Zuller from the Franklin Group. Steve, are you there?
Yes, good morning, Tom. Thank
you. How are you?
Hi, Steve.
Good morning.
Happy Father's Day, Steve.
Happy Father's Day to you and all the listeners out there.
Right. Absolutely, yeah, Steve. Just so you know, I don't want you to have any stage fright. But we have 250 million listeners out there listening to the show, and yeah, they're relying on your advice. So I have a lot of questions. Yeah, absolutely. I know
a lot of bobbleheads.
Yeah, and exactly. And thanks for coming on, and thanks for spending your Father's Day morning being on the show. It's an honor to have you on. I want to talk a little bit, Steve, about how you got started. Why don't you tell all of the listeners how you got started?
In 1988, I was graduating Queens College. I majored in accounting and business. I was looking to get into some type of business that would utilize what I thought my best talents were at the time. I started up a printing company, the Franklin Group, and it was more of a printing company in terms of printing paper. In those days, there was a lot more paper being printed as opposed to
amazing. It's amazing, and I don't mean to interrupt you. It's amazing where that industry has gone.
Total change.
Talk about an industry that's totally been evaporated and changed by technology and
digital.
I actually have some questions around that regarding your business because I think it's important for people to understand how technology affects businesses. But go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, not a problem at all. So, in terms of the printing, the paper printing, there's definitely still an industry for it. There's still a business for it. I think that we've adopted to the changes in the industry, whereas where it's gone digital and it's gone in that direction. We've focused a lot of our business on the promotional, giveaway business. We've adopted to that. We've brought in teams of people to adopt to those changes that are experts in the industry in terms of promotional and giveaway products, gifting products as well. But when we started, it was a different type of business. It's grown into, a nice sized company today where we service many different industries. We service the sports industry, we service healthcare industry, a lot of real estate, and just nonprofit and nonprofit industries as well. So when we started, it was, just starting out, coming out of college, going into a business, finding my way, making my mistakes, really figuring my way out, and then coming up with a plan of how to move the company forward.
So really what you're saying is you got into it by accident. You got into the bobblehead business by accident.
Yeah, listen, there's nothing by accident in life. Everything happens for a reason, but I definitely, it happened at a time where that totally was not what was expected upon when we started the company many years ago. But it happened, it just happened, and we've turned the volume up, and we've really gone forward with it in a very positive direction.
So I want to talk about. I'm so focused and I'm so mesmerized by bobbleheads because they're everywhere. Everywhere you go, you see kids.
We can make you a bobblehead.
We need the Maoli bobblehead. There you
go. We'll make one for you. We're more than happy to send it to you afterwards, and you'll be able to have it in your studio at all times.
So talk about that process. How do you make a bobblehead?
So what we do is we work together with the marketing teams, the marketing departments of the sports teams that we deal with. We deal with over 70 professional and collegiate sports teams across the country. It's grown. It continues to grow. It's a fascinating industry. A lot of good people that I've met over the years in the industry that have taught me a tremendous amount in terms of just vision and building a company. But the way the bobblehead, evolves is, you're working with, you'll come up with an idea with the team, with the marketing team, and you'll think of how you want to accomplish it, what you want to get done, and work together with them with the molds and different ideas of samples of going back and forth of what, really what we want to accomplish. I mean, really, with a bobblehead, it's a lifetime memory. It's really, like you mentioned earlier, it's something that will sit on someone's desk. It's something that will sit in someone's house. It's something that it's something that connects generations a lot of times. It really is something that, someone going to a game feels like they're going to a game. It's all about game day experience today.
It's about experience. We're going to talk about experience. We're going to take a commercial break, and we're going to come back. Please hang on the line, Steve. We have so many questions that I want to ask you, and I want to just throw this out there regarding your whole concept of bobblehead, and I want to just talk to you about. You mentioned collegiate and alignment with collegiate teens, and I want to talk about payment athletes, and then we'll be back in a minute. But
Great question.
Yeah, there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of questions that I have for the listeners. The phone lines are open, 1-800-321-0710. We're going to take a commercial break. We'll be right back, Steve. Hi, I'm owner Tom Maoli. I want to personally invite you to experience the celebrity treatment at Alfa Romeo of Morris County. We treat all of our customers like a VIP celebrity. You'll find the most competitive prices in the industry and 18 acres of inventory.
Right now, get a new 2018 Alfa Romeo 4C Coupe for just $699 a month.
The fastest way to get the status you deserve and the value you expect is to follow the star to Alfa Romeo of Morris County. Shop where the celebrities shop. Hi, I'm owner Tom Maoli. I want to personally invite you to experience the celebrity treatment at BMW of Springfield. You'll find the most competitive prices in the industry and a parking deck which is 10 stories high, full of inventory.
Right now, get a new 2018 BMW X3 3.0i with X-Drive for only $349 a month.
The fastest way to get the status you deserve and the value you expect is to follow the star to BMW of Springfield. Shop where the celebrities shop.
He's a great guest. We are back with real estate and automotive, business and finance serial entrepreneur, Mr. Go Big or Go Home himself, Tom Maoli. Tom, back to you.
Thanks, Jim. And we have Steve Zuller on the phone, who's the CEO of the Franklin Group and the king of the bobblehead. Steve, are you back?
Yes.
Hi. We talked about experience, and you talked about it's all about the experience at the game, and we're throwing around a lot of concepts here, but I have a couple questions. I want to get into the experience in a second, but you talked about colleges and your alignment with colleges. How do you deal with that? I mean, are you doing athletes? Are you doing just the teams? Are you doing generalities? Because obviously it's a whole big issue in the sports world today where college kids can't get paid.
Right. Money.
Yeah. So I would say in terms of the New York, New Jersey local teams, we deal today, we deal with many teams. We deal with the Nets, with the Islanders, with the Devils, with New York, NYCFC, with the Jets, with the Mets, and Yankees, just to name some of them. Seton Hall in terms of the colleges, in terms of Bryant University, LIU, different. There's named some of the colleges.
Unbelievable.
We work with. Learfield Sports is a major partner of ours that we deal with. So, they represent 140 colleges across the country.
Wow.
So a lot of what we do is we work with the colleges, we work with the sports teams, we work with the venues as well. In terms of working together with other, with sporting agencies and working together with, representatives for teams as well as agents, we end up, being in the space of, this space, we end up meeting a lot of different people, a lot of interesting people, and everyone has different ideas. There's a lot of different ideas of what, how people want to have stuff done. So it's far-reaching, and a lot of the teams that we deal with today are growing teams. We talk about even the Stanley Cup recently. Two of our partners were playing, the Vegas Knights and the Washington Capitals.
Oh, isn't that great?
Wow, that's crazy.
Yes. So it's always interesting to see the different things that different teams put out there in terms of game day experiences. And bobbleheads is a tremendous market today where everyone wants to be a cut above the rest. One of our partners on the West Coast, the San Jose Sharks. They won the award, the J.D. Power Award, many times, over the last year or so for game day experiences. It's their bobbleheads, the unique, it's basically uniqueness of the bobbleheads that they're doing and the creativity in terms of the bobbleheads they're doing. That's what custom bobbleheads are. What makes them different is they're good for their gift ideas, uniqueness and creativity of them as well. And then it's also, it's a cute, interesting, creative because people like to keep them and they like to always save them.
Oh, they're iconic. They're like Hess trucks. You just collect them. I go into cubicles and corporations. I see them lined up behind. I'm talking about CEOs.
Right.
I'm talking about chairmen of major corporations, and they have bobbleheads. Lined up on their credenza.
Yeah,
Steve,
I was in what's it called? I was visiting a team in the Midwest recently, and I walked into their offices, very corporate offices, and they had a huge bobblehead in their lobby, huge bobblehead.
That's hysterical. That's amazing.
I was like, where's it? It's like it's a whole different world today. But it was very interesting because it was a very corporate environment. But in that corporate environment, you walked in and right there was a blown up bobblehead.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great idea.
Steve, this is Jim. Just a quick question. Now, you mentioned the leagues, but the individual teams. So do you have to start your negotiations or go through the leagues first and then get to the individual teams? Or it's kind of an open area of marketing?
So, our approach has been, on the team level, we have some leagues that we do deal with. Certain leagues have different restrictions. I mean, one of the leagues that we're navigating through right now is the esports, the NBA 2K League, and the Overwatch League. There's a lot of new business out there in terms of the markets. I mean, if you look at, as an example, the MLS, the
soccer.
There's, with soccer, we're dealing with, the Red Bulls and the New York City.
Talk about a league that has taken off. Talk about it's unbelievable.
In terms of a league, there's the way the leagues operate today. There's in certain leagues, there's more restriction in terms of what an individual team can do on their own. In terms of what they're allowed to order on their own, what they're allowed to do on their own, and certain leagues are less restrictive. Now, in terms of the MLS, a lot of it is everything needs to go through the league, everything goes through the league. So we also have partnerships that we're always entertaining and we're always talking to.
Right.
Is the leagues itself. How, go to Learfield as an example. It's 140 colleges. Right there. You're talking about, we're dealing with the league, the Learfield. We're dealing with the Northwest Conference, or we're dealing with the Midwest Conference. Or
Learfield is a sports marketing company, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Correct.
Right. Yeah.
And then with the NEC as an example, like the Northeast Conference in terms of the collegiate, we're dealing with the Northeast Conference in terms of the way we deal with it. And then it goes down to the individual colleges. But that's really it differs from league to league. There's a lot of opportunity out there, especially in what we're doing, because we customize what we're doing. We're very service oriented in what we do, and we know the business. Where we've been successful over the last couple of years, especially, was we brought in people, individuals who are professionals in the sports industry and also in the healthcare industry.
That's great. That's amazing. And we're going to talk about that, Steve, because I'm actually starting a sports themed company. And it's called Joe Zone, and we'll talk about that because it's going to be an amazing. There's karma here. There's clear karma in this whole meeting of the minds here because there's more business for us to do together. But we'll talk about that. Let me talk about manufacturing. U.S. or China?
We do both.
You do both. Interesting. So talk about how the trade wars are going to affect you. What do you think?
I'm hoping it doesn't kill us, but we're really, we've been talking about it over the last week or two of how to protect ourselves in terms of how that happens. I mean, hopefully it won't happen, won't affect us as much. But I would say, you have to, in this industry, you have to be set up for both, because I'll give you an example. Last Stanley Cup. The Stanley Cup is an example. I mean, for the Washington Parade, we made bracelets and we made necklaces for the Washington. We're
gonna get into planning and how you plan. I mean, talk about a business that you have to plan, then you have no idea how to plan because you don't know who's going to win, and you don't know how many of them to make because you could make 10 million of the losing team and $1 million of the winning team.
Great question.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure. It's not what I mean. We had that this year with the NHL. I mean, we had the LA Kings, San Jose Sharks, the Vegas Knights, and they were all competing for spots. Competing for what position in terms of the playoffs. So until that Saturday night, they didn't know who was playing whom, and we needed to have rally calls and different things for the games.
Amazing. That's amazing.
It's really that's why it became a 24/7 business. It's it's service-oriented business, and totally something that if you don't have professionals on our team in terms of knowing what they're doing, knowing how to get stuff done, you really you're shooting blanks.
Yeah, well, listen, if the Jets ever win the Super Bowl, you'll never be prepared. There's impossible. I'm a big, diehard Jet fan.
What is that, Tom?
It's unbelievable. It's unreal. Yeah, but
that's true. But listen, now my friend Freddie Mangione is the SVP of the Jets. I totally trust in him, and I feel that they're going to go all the way. So
there you go.
If they go all the way, we'll go to the game together.
Well, speaking of going all the way, and right now they're about 275 to 1 in Vegas on the line. But let's talk about sports betting and how it's going to affect your business.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah. I mean, that's really it's an unknown. I mean, listen, like you've seen in many of the papers or in media, sports betting, increases the value of teams. So, with everything that's going on there, it could be that teams will market more, spend more on marketing, spend more on different giveaways in terms of like just being much more competitive. I mean, it seems to me that it will help. But I think that more back to, when we talk about marketing is a key component to sports teams in the game day experience. If you look at the game day experience, what goes on out there, there's so many different people out there talking game day experience. What is it all about? How do we make it better? I mean, I'm actually next week, there's a convention in Atlanta, the ALSD convention, which I happen to sit on the board of trustees of. And basically we sit around and we, a big part of what's discussed at this conference is how do we make the events and how do we make people feel more part of wanting to go to games. So it's really become like a whole different industry today. All the stadiums are ramping up different experiences. You see, I mean, especially with the digital media out there today, there's such an outlet to get to that much more than it was years ago. So you're seeing so much more engagement when you're there, before you're there, while you're there, when you leave there. There's really, engagement is a big part of what's out there with the sports teams today. So you want to engage, we're looking to, engage the people and the fans that are out there.
Amazing.
Like you said, the total experience.
It's all about the experience. Well, listen, Steve, we're going to take another commercial break, and we're going to be back. But I want to talk about, now I want to get into the business side of it. I want to talk about going with your gut, risk, how you determine, what you're going to make and not make, financing your business, all the things that the listeners want to hear. It's very interesting because your business is so. The risk. I see so much risk in your business, and how do you make? What products do you make? What products do you not make? Who's going to be hot? Who's not going to be hot? Who you make 1 million bobbleheads of Odell Beckham, and he goes bad.
What do you do?
Right. What do you do with him? So we'll talk about that. That's inventory management. Yeah. We're going to be back. Phone lines are open. 800-321-0710. We're going to take a commercial break. Steve, just hang on. Hi, I'm owner Tom Maoli. I want to personally invite you to experience the celebrity treatment at Alfa Romeo of Morris County. We treat all of our customers like a VIP celebrity. You'll find the most competitive prices in the industry and 18 acres of inventory.
Right now, get a new 2018 Alfa Romeo Giulia for only $299 a month.
The fastest way to get the status you deserve and the value you expect is to follow the star to Alfa Romeo of Morris County. Shop where the celebrities shop. I'm owner Tom Maoli, and I want to personally invite you to experience the celebrity treatment. At Lexus of Route 10, it's the quality, it's the service. We have the most competitive prices in the industry, and we have 30 acres worth of inventory.
Right now, get a new 2018 Lexus NX 300 for only $349 a month.
The fastest way to get the status you deserve and the value you expect is to follow the star to Lexus of Route 10, the #1 volume Lexus dealer in the Eastern region.
We are back with real estate, automotive, business, and finance serial entrepreneur, Mr. Go Big or Go Home himself, Mr. Tom Maoli. Tom, back to you.
Thanks, Jim. And we have Steve Zuller on the phone from the Franklin Group, the king of the bobblehead. Our phone lines are open. It's 800-321-0710. I want to remind the listeners about the Maoli Minute. It's just taken off. It's daily morning drive and evening drive. It's daily business tips. You can listen to it. It gets you through the week. It gives you what's going on in the stock market, in the business world, banking, financing,
I think you just did one on
Washington. I just did one on China. Right. We just talked about China a few minutes ago with Steve, and it's unbelievable. Steve, we're back on the line. We're in the Len Berman Studios, New York Mets. Pretty apropos for the bobblehead. We have a quarter of a billion listeners out there listening to this show, and they want to. I think the listeners want to hear about going with your gut. Every day in your business, I see it, I feel it. I don't know your business, but I see it and feel it. It's clearly you have to go with your gut.
Yeah, there's no question about it. I mean, you have to just go the way that you feel. You can't, if you listen to 100 opinions, you're really not gonna get anything done. You need to be able to make decisions, clear-cut decisions. You need to be transparent about the decisions and also just go with them. So, as an example, we rely on analytics with a lot of stuff. We look at risk factors. We also have professionals on our team that have been on the side of the team. So, as an example, how many should we order? What should we keep in stock? Inventory management. We have 2 people on our staff recently, over the last year or two, that were part of MSG, and one was part of, another company. And what they did was they worked on the other side, so they understood what it meant when a partner like Franklin Group was sitting and talking to them about how many bobbleheads should we keep in stock for this, how many caps, how many T-shirts, how many different things that we should have. So we really work together with them, collaborate with them and the marketing teams to come up with really what the best formula and what the best way. And it's not one size fits all. You really have to adopt to different industries, to different changes. What's good on the West Coast may not be good on the East Coast. Right. What's good in collegiate may not be good on professional sports. What's good in healthcare is not good in real estate. It's really, you have to be able to change your cap every hour. You really, in the industry that we're in.
Yeah, I call it being nimble. You can't survive in business unless you're nimble. You got every day you wake up, you don't rest on your laurels. I go into my office, and by the time I get there, I'm geared up. I'm on my toes. I'm ready to go. I'm looking for something that's coming at me that I could stop, right? I almost feel like I'm I use the analogy of a football field. My goal in the morning is I got to score a touchdown, right? And I'm going to figure out a way to do it. And just because you fail doesn't mean, or you get tackled, doesn't mean the game's over. You got to go back to the huddle, call a new play, and at some point when the linebacker's coming at you, you got to figure out how to fend them off.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a good way of explaining it. And failure makes you stronger. I mean, listen, you're selling, something goes wrong. You just got to pick yourself up and just make believe nothing happened. I mean, that's really, something that, for young people starting out there, you just have to go into business. Just be honest, set yourself goals, and review your goals all the time. And if you strike out, keep on going.
Exactly.
Just keep on going. And, if you're not scoring a touchdown, you're hitting a single, hitting a double, that's great. You don't always have to hit the home run.
Right.
Home run's great. Singles and doubles add up a lot, so that's why we built our business also on the singles and the doubles. We didn't, the home runs are always great to have, but never have that big of a customer on you that, if God forbid something happens, you always have to have so many of them, so you can always keep on growing.
Yeah, it's interesting because you talked about failures, and it's so important in entrepreneurship and business. It's how do you handle failures? I had the editor-in-chief of Entrepreneur Magazine on the show. On my show, and we Jason Pfeiffer, and we interviewed him. Yeah, Jason was great. I wish you would have loved to hear him. And I asked him the question. We talked about entrepreneurs and business, and he said, you know what, a true entrepreneur, he said, I want to hear about the failures. I want to hear about how they fixed failures. Right. He said, because anybody could go into something, and if you just keep winning, it's easy, right? It's like playing the lottery. If you buy a ticket and you win, but it's how do you fix the problems, because that's a true entrepreneur. And every entrepreneur has failures. They have, problems. They have issues on a daily basis. How do you deal with them? Give us some examples, of Steve, of the trials and tribulations and failures, because people love to hear that. They want to hear, it all sounds good that you're selling billions of bobbleheads around the world, and but where were the problems, and how did you solve them?
Yeah, so it's a great question. The way I lead is always by just being very transparent, having a team of people that will sit down and go through what the failures are. Let's not, I always sit down with people and say, this is not a blame game. We're sitting across the table. It's all about we. There's no I's here. It's all about we. Let's discuss how things happen, how we can make things better. So, I would say over the years, when you're starting off, you need to have the proper team in place. So, when you start off 20, 25, 30 years ago, you had a business and you really were building, and especially when we built into this, different type of business and promotional space as well, you have to have the proper people and the proper systems in place. So I think, one of the things that I learned from that was sometimes you need to spend before you have. What does that mean? The way I look at it, you have to have an infrastructure in place to be able to take on new business. You have to have the right systems in place.
That is the most. That's very astute. That's very interesting because and I've never actually brought that up on my show, but it's very good that you brought that up, Steve. Sometimes you need to spend before you have. An entrepreneur needs to make an investment. They need to build something. They need to have infrastructure. They need to have an idea. It's all got to be in place before you launch and before you get out there to the marketplace and promote your product or your services, whatever you're doing. And you got to make that investment, and that investment is a risk.
Yeah, there's no question about that. There's a definite risk in what you're doing, but if you feel good about what you're doing and you set yourself up properly, but if you don't do it that way, you're going to fail. You're pretty much going to fail a lot of times because you're going to be learning and making your mistakes. You might as well if you could afford to invest in what you're doing and then build a business, because once you go out there, especially in the real business world, you fail, it's your name on the line, it's your reputation on the line. So much of what we do is on referrals. So much of what we do is based on word of mouth. So you need to know what you're doing and do it well. I mean, so much of what we do also, like I said, is if we weren't set up properly for it, we would never be able to engage the partners and the sponsors of the sports teams and the collegiate teams. That's a big part of what we do is when we partner together with teams today. We engage the sponsors and the partners. So we're working together with a lot of their partners. So if we weren't set up properly, we need to always, our team needs to be bigger than the client base that we have at all times. That's the way I always say. We'll always bring in new people to be able to work with them. The other thing that I would say is, in terms of setting yourself up properly, I think that you have to just be on top of everything at all times. Never assume that something's going to get done. If you're sending out a shipment, if it's a FedEx or a UPS or any kind of shipment, you have to have systems in place that you have to know. You have to have someone who's calling, checking, tracking. You can't always think somebody, tracking number gets somewhere and they say it was delivered, and then you find out it was one package or it was two packages, and what happened to it. Right. We have a lot of systems in place for that, where I think a lot of people, a lot of failures that a lot of people have at the risk they take is, they don't have enough people to be able to handle that, to always do research and do different things. You have to do, one other thing is doing research on the products. We have a research department that researches what the hottest trends are in the industry. They go to shows within the industry. They visit different things. I mentioned one thing to you next week about the ALFD show. One of the things that we do over there is our CMO speaks at that show, and she's what she does is she's really giving over her experience, and she's talking about that to the sports professionals out there. So I think that being out there and being the leader in the industry and being on top of what you're doing, I think that's something that we didn't do years ago, which we're doing much more of today, is really telling the story.
Well, listen, with social media, it makes it a little bit easier because it helps. I always say, and I have this battle in my head with social media and the internet and websites. And, when I started, there wasn't even cell phones. There was pay phones. I had to go to a payphone. I had to make sure I had a roll of quarters in my pocket because I had to make a phone call to an answering service to tell me who called me, and I have to call them back because they needed my services.
Maps.
But and now you have it all, right? It's all at your fingertips. You can go online. You can see what your competitors are doing. You can see what the marketplace is doing. You can see what's out there, what's selling, what's not selling. But on the flip side to that is, it's good because you have access to that information, but it gives the competitors complete access to your information, and you have to be on your toes. You have to be one step ahead of what everyone's doing, because if not, someone's going to eat your lunch.
No, there's no question about it. I would say years ago, I would never be on here talking about my business. I would never put stuff out there, who our client base is, who our partners are.
There you go.
But in today's world, I mean, first of all, when we go into any partnership with teams, we're doing multi-year deals. We're not, the 1 year deals don't work for us because we have to. But it's like someone just up your head the whole day. You need to build that trust. You need to build that infrastructure to be able to take on the team properly. So our deals are all multi-year deals, and ones that we've experienced over the years have only grown from there and renewed. But I think you're totally right. With social media, it changes the game that we're playing. It really changes the whole game of what we're doing. We would never be able to be doing business on the West Coast the way we are today, or doing business on the Midwest. We would be doing the local teams that we're doing if we were lucky enough.
Right. But
the business today, it's so far-reaching, and you have to be able to expand and be able to take the technology of today and make it work for your benefit. And
totally.
I think that's a big part of what needs to be done. You need to have a very good social media presence, as well as a PR, the proper PR and the proper PR people working for you and being part of your team. Years ago, like you said, it was different. Today, if you're not set up properly for that, the person working out of their home can put themselves out there being the biggest company out there.
Right.
It's a different world out there. So we really have to be on top of that. So that's a little bit of what we've learned over the years. Also, in just setting goals. One thing we didn't touch upon, which I'll touch upon for a second, is the philanthropic part of business. Being a leader is not always it's always being profitable in terms of the company, but it's being good to the communities that you service, and also being good to the organizations and the people that are less fortunate than everyone else is. I mean, one of the things
that's so true. So true.
I feel it's very important. Sometimes when I speak to young people starting out, to interns or different people that come for advice, and we speak at different forums, we speak about think about the other person. Always think about the other person, what they're going through. Don't always be good to the CEO of a company. Be good to the secretary. Be good to the person who's washing the floors at a company. Because
give them a bobblehead.
Yeah. There's no question about it. You have to sit and be philanthropic. You have to sit and be part of it. Always give back to organizations. Send people to games. Send people to games that would not be able to afford to go to games. People, send people with disabilities to games. Make them be part of what needs to be done. I mean, some of the organizations that we've been partnered up with recently have been Best Buddies, the Bo Biden Foundation, St. Jude's, and many others. And what we do is we try to engage with them and really give back to them and the communities as well. So I think that's something for the young entrepreneur out there. When they're starting out, I think they should go into it with their eyes open to that and realize it's not always about money in your pocket. It's also about giving back to people that can't afford.
Well, listen, I'm a big believer in karma. I'm a big believer in you give and it comes back tenfold. And it's honorable that you would say that on the show and on the air to our 250 million listeners. It's honorable because I think that's the way to think.
And Steve, one question I had about merchandising too. You mentioned about that NHL when 3 teams came to the final game, a month ago. So what do you do then with that merchandising that team, the rally towels for the San Jose Sharks weren't able to be used? So do you donate them to other places, other countries? I've heard different things with that. How does that work with some of that?
Yeah, so a lot of that's the way it does work. A lot of times when we've had T-shirts and different things which didn't go to use, or rally towels, you have to give back and you have to donate them back. There's different ways to do it. There's different ways to go about that. But that's a very big part of, you said, it's a very big part of the philanthropic part of our company that we have. And, always looking at who where can it be best served? Can it be best served over here or overseas or different countries where people, are less fortunate than we are and don't have the basic necessities that it takes to live life.
So in the bobblehead industry, just help me out with this because I'm just trying to wrestle with this in my head. You make a bobblehead. Is there some sort of peak when someone peaks out and then the sales start dropping off because everyone already owns the bobblehead, or how does it? How
do you make this guy's bobblehead?
No, I think that you try to be creative with the bobblehead. You try to keep the market out there as much as possible. You also have the teams being able to give them away on their special giveaway nights. So you know that X amount of them are being used for that particular night, that particular giveaway. And then there's always the fans that can't come to the game or are not able to go to the game. So you have a database of people that would utilize and would like the bobblehead. So you try to leverage yourself as much as possible with it, but really working together as an extension of the marketing teams and from the teams that we're working with. It's really the experience. It didn't happen overnight. Believe me, we made our mistakes.
No, listen, nothing happens overnight. I always say that. There's one of my favorite sayings is the man at the top of the mountain didn't fall there.
Right. Yeah, it's true. It's a good way of saying it. But yeah, listen, it's life is experiences, business is experiences. You learn from them. You learn from good people. I really feel that I've been blessed to be able to be associated with really good people, in different industries over the years. I mean, my first partnership was with the Nets, and I had the fortune to deal with people like Brett Yarmack and Adam Davis and John Werbank, Bill Hirsch, certain people that were really people that I meet with on a monthly basis, just to have coffee with, just to talk about and really understand their vision and how they work and how hardworking they are and and there's never no. It's always like drive to get something done. That's always been their approach, and always be honest and always be transparent. Talk to the people around you. Be good to the people around you. So I've been blessed. I mean, I really say that's one thing that I don't want to. I really want to focus on a little bit. Having the right people and making the right connections, but keeping those connections years later. And
networking, keeping connection. We talked about this last week. We talked about it the week before with my guest. It's absolutely amazing. Ron this year, we talked about how many times you get invited to events and you say, "I'm tired. I don't want to go. It's not the night I want to go." It just happened to me too. Last week, I got invited to an event for a new golf course opening, and I didn't want to go, and I wound up going. And when I got there, I'm like, "What was I thinking?" Connections. That's what it's all about. Right. Business is about networking. You have to network. You have to get out there. I have a book of business cards from my first business card that someone gave me in 1982 when I started my company. You got to keep them. You got to stay in touch with people. People move from companies to company. When I was in the logistics business, I was in the global logistics business. I had one person who I befriended in a company who moved to 4 different companies. Everywhere he went, he brought me in and got me the services and the business in those corporations. You got to stay connected with people. It's so important. That is such a key point, Steve. That's amazing that you brought that up. Right. We're going to take a commercial break. We're going to be right back with Steve Zuller of the Franklin Group, the king of the bobblehead. Steve, I want to make sure the bobbleheads are standing for the national anthem when we come back. And we're going to be back in a moment. The phone lines are open. It's 800-321-0710 on Father's Day with Steve Zuller from the Franklin Group. We'll be right back.
Great.
I'm owner Tom Maoli, and I want to personally invite you to experience the celebrity treatment. At Lexus of Route 10, it's the quality, it's the service. We have the most competitive prices in the industry, and we have 30 acres worth of inventory.
Right now, get a new 2018 Lexus RX 350 for only $449 a month.
The fastest way to get the status you deserve and the value you expect is to follow the star to Lexus of Route 10, the #1 volume Lexus dealer in the Eastern region. I'm owner Tom Maoli, and I want to personally invite you to experience the celebrity treatment at Maserati of Morris County. We offer a luxury vehicle buying experience. We have the most competitive prices in the industry and the largest inventory available.
Right now, get a new 2018 Maserati Ghibli SQ4 for just $699 a month.
The fastest way to get the status you deserve and the value you expect is to follow the star to Maserati of Morris County. Shop where the celebrities shop.
Okay, and we're back. We are back with real estate, automotive, business, and finance serial entrepreneur, Mr. Go Big or Go Home himself, Tom Maoli. Tom, back to you.
Thanks, Jim. And we're here again on Father's Day. Happy Father's Day, everyone, in the Len Berman Studios. 250 million listeners, iHeartRadio. Unbelievable. I mean, I got to pinch myself. And, Steve, we're here with Steve Zuller, who's the CEO of the Franklin Group, the king of the bobblehead. Steve, I make a joke out of the bobblehead standing for the national anthem, but I think it's so important because, there's not another place in the world, another country in the world where you can achieve what you've achieved. I could be sitting on the air with 250 million listeners listening to our show. It's just it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's really an unbelievable thing for all of us that we're able to accomplish that. There's so much that goes into what we're doing and being good at what we do, and just also, these bobbleheads are really an experience. It really creates a memory. It's like something that some people just feel so close to. It's a lifetime memory.
So are they collectible? I mean, do they go up in value?
They don't really go up in value, but there's something that I think that people want. They feel that it's something that it's from generation to generation. It connects people. It collects teams. When you have the Yankees or the Mets or different teams that have fans from so many years ago, as the children grow up, they're passing these down from generation to generation, and it's keeping the fan base. It's like when you look at different teams, like even the Brooklyn Nets as an example, and they started in Brooklyn, 7-8 years ago. It was where do you build a base from? So years later, you'll have their children and different people from there, so you'll be able to give them back, the bobbleheads or rally towels or different things, and then you're creating a fan. You're creating a fan as opposed to someone who is somebody new in the industry. So I think it's if you look at so many of the different things that teams are doing in terms of engagement today, it's really it's unbelievable. I see it across the country. I've seen it. I've seen it when teams are building up. They're always looking at what's going to something that's going to get the fan into the stands. What's it going to do? What's it going to take to get them in there? And bobbleheads have been something that's been unique. It's creative. It's something that it's done. Different ones are done different ways. But people people come to games for it, which is it's unreal. It's really like an unbelievable thing. I think that there's a market for it. Maybe there's a market for it in different industries as well. Maybe there's different ways to accomplish it. But I think it's something that will be it's a growing industry.
It's amazing. It's unbelievable.
It really is.
Yeah, it's just a unique niche. It's just unreal. And I've been waiting because I have this written down, and I've been waiting to ask. It's on my mind all week, and I've been waiting to ask you this question. And I think the listeners want to know this because it's a pretty interesting question. What's been your most successful bobblehead?
Perfect.
The most successful bobblehead that we did was for the San Jose Sharks. We've done a bunch of them for different teams, but the ones that have accomplished the biggest traction in terms of giveaways have been really the ones that are unique. You know what I'm saying? So there's ones that they put in the Brent Burns ones was like a really one that really took off. The Thornton one was something that really the Brent Burns and the Joe Thornton ones. Those were ones that if you look up, I mean, those were really something that captured J.D. Power Experience Awards. It's
Steve,
also,
we have it in front of us here. Tom's got a copy of the article, the Joe Thornton
one.
Oh,
it's amazing with the beard. It's hysterical. I think the closest thing to that would be a Stormy Daniels bobblehead.
Yeah.
Hey now,
that's amazing. So obviously that was your most successful. What was the biggest failure? Yeah, you thought it was going to be a home run. We all have them. We're entrepreneurs. We have these ideas, and we're like, I got it. It's gonna be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And you go out there, and it's like boom, and it fails, and you're like, now what? What was your biggest failure in bobblehead?
I would say the worst one that we've done. I mean, I don't want to throw any teams under, so it's
no, of course not. No.
Yeah, I would say that there's been ones that we worked with teams that just weren't as successful as others. I mean, I just don't want to,
Okay.
The marketing teams, always put so much work into what they're doing, so they really mean so much to them, and sometimes it's nothing to do with the marketing departments that come up with them. It doesn't hit for whatever reason. So so I think that you have to always look at when you're doing the bobblehead of you look at what can go well with it, what the shortcomings possibly could be of it, and then I adopt a plan and market it properly.
Well, listen, we're coming to the end of the show here, and I appreciate your time on Father's Day.
You've been great, Steve.
Yeah,
fascinating.
Fascinating, absolutely fascinating. It's a fascinating business that you have, and it's absolutely amazing how you're nimble and you manage it and you navigate through the whole thing.
What kind of staff do you have?
Yeah,
how big's your staff?
Yeah, so we have different. Our staff is growing. We have different departments in our staff. We have a sports marketing division. We have a healthcare marketing division. We have, an analytics department.
Right.
We have a PR department. We have a social media department. Then we have, an account management team that, works with sports teams with bobbleheads and promotional products. We have an account management team that deals with sports teams just with print. There is still a business out there with print. I know we've got away from it a little bit, but the business of game day programs and different things like that, yearbooks, we still do a lot of that as well. There's still a business out there for it. And I think that some of that business is coming back. I think that, people have gone away from it a little bit, but, so it's like anything else.
Exactly.
Game day experience, and people are coming back to that. We also have a great design department that does full, design from start to finish. So we work with the teams in terms of design with our healthcare clients, but with our real estate stuff. We do branding from top to finish. So we need to have a staff that's always growing. A team, we have an activation department that works together with the partners that we have.
Yep.
It's really important that we have
amazing,
a business development department. It's really to put a number would be hard, but I've said that we really, it's been an unbelievable experience. I'm humbled and I'm happy. It's an unreal experience I've had.
God bless America. God bless. Only in America you can get this done. And Steve, I want to thank you for your time. I want to thank you for being on. You're an amazing guest, amazing success story. And I'm gonna wrap up the show here. And I thank you for being there. And I want to leave all my listeners, the 250 million listeners out there, with something that I leave every week. I want you to just think about it when you're driving around in your car and you're sitting in your cubicle. Go with your gut. Take the leap of faith that tells you your gut is 1,000% right when everyone else is telling you you're crazy. You can't hit the ball unless you swing the bat. And I wish everyone the success. Stand firm on your beliefs, your morals, and your values, and follow your dreams. Winners never quit, quitters never win. And, we're wrapping up the show here with Steve Zuller of the Franklin Group. Mr. Bobblehead. Steve, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
I appreciate it. I wish you the greatest of success. And I'm looking out there for that Stormy Daniels bobblehead. And I want to make sure all those bobbleheads are at attention. I wouldn't want to be in your conference room, though, Steve, because all those bobbleheads going up and down, it's got to be incredible. And I'm making a joke out of it, but it's amazing, absolutely amazing what you do. Thank you. Thanks for being on the air. It's Tom Maoli, Go Big or Go Home. It's Tom Maoli, Go Big or Go Home from the Len Berman Studios, iHeartRadio, and don't forget the Maoli Minute, Daily Drive, morning and evening for your daily business tips until we can get back to the next show, which we're going to announce. We're going to have an amazing guest on next. Yeah, it's going to be unbelievable. And, I want to thank all my listeners. Happy Father's Day, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.